All right, so thank you guys for tuning into another episode here at Grizzly Talk. I am your co-host at Mike on the mic. Of course, we got Mr. Fire Films here in the building.
What's going on, guys?
And we have an amazing guest here with us today. So happy you were able to make it in. Vivianayvonneytv.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, and super excited to talk with like a bunch of stuff with you. I know you have some stuff in the works, podcasts in the works too, right? So yeah, can you tell the Grizzly folks who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so right now I'm a reporter for KC24 and CBS 47, so that's my full-time job. But I do a lot of other things as well. Like I go to schools and I read, get invited to do a lot of different things. I'm part of another group, Rise to It Productions. And so they get hired to go and speak at schools and share what we've learned through life, our testimonies, and just helping kids and helping the youth. Which is something that really stood out to me when I met them, and just super thankful that they brought me on with their team, and so we get to do that. And I'm just a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, but that's my day job. I'm a reporter. So.
Yeah, no, so, I know. I see your Instagram. I'm the one that kind of goes through does a little bit of the guest research. So I went like through the archives.
Oh,
looks like you're like an influencer for life. So.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard. I have like a love-hate relationship with the word influencer. Mm-hmm. A lot of people use it, a lot of people want it, a lot of people claim it, and for me it was never something I wanted. I didn't ever make videos, doing certain things or that were trendy, but just being who I am has created a following, and I know that following comes with influence. So I do have influence, and I take that seriously.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful thing to be able to inspire people. And like you said, I think the most authentic thing is when you don't really chase it, right? You kind of just go with it. But I think you're a huge inspiration in the Latin community. Have you always been that way? Or what's your background here in Fresno? Are you born and raised here?
So I was born in Clovis and at Clovis Community. And I was raised here until I was in 4th grade. And then my dad was working in the Bay Area, so we would only see him on the weekends. And it was really hard for my mom. She was like, I need to see you Monday through Sunday. This is hard. And I was in 4th grade at the time, and so they just decided to move me. I was so mad. I didn't want to leave my friends, my brothers, because we're 18 years apart. So my brothers were staying here. So I had no one out there, and moved to Modesto and then stayed there. But till I came back for college here. But my roots, my mom always raised me to be strong. She always told me, you're Mexican. She wouldn't even let me say you're Mexican American, which I am.
Yeah.
She was like, but you don't hear people going around saying, I'm Japanese American. They say Japanese. Some people might, and I'm not saying there's any right or wrong way to identify. However you want to, I 100%.
I'm ethnically confused.
Yeah.
Because I consider myself Mexican American because I was born in Mexico, but I've been here my whole life, and most of my family's American, so I consider myself Mexican American. But then I took DNA tests, and it turns out that I'm just some mix of...
You're some mixed cocktail?
I'm a mixed European cocktail, yeah.
It's okay. It's one of those things where how we identify, I respect the individual, regardless of what it is. It's not my job or my place to tell you what you should be claiming, what's right, what's wrong. But for me, my mom was like, you're Mexican, always be proud of that. And, I was born here. I'm already 2nd gen. So... She was 1st gen and blazed that trail with education, but my uncle, he actually worked with Cesar Chavez, and so she was very close to her brother, and his name was Sal, and he ended up passing away in an accident. And I recently found an actual news article when he passed that the United Farm Workers had posted, and Cesar Chavez was at his funeral, spoke. And so there's a lot of roots in my family with activism and just being proud to be, whether it's Mexican, I say Chicana, Latina, whatever it is.
Chingona.
Yes, chingona. All of the above, but yeah, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say I grew up this loud about it, but since I've become an adult and I'm more aware of the privilege that I have to be a citizen here, using my voice for those who are afraid or using the voice for those who can't yet, it means a lot to me. So I'm definitely more than ever now just very proud and very loud about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's, there's a big community here, especially in the Central Valley with, we have the agricultural, capital of the world here. So that's a lot of our people that are, putting it out there. Definitely
in the Central Valley. It's like every little city surrounding the Fresno County and around the Fresno County. That's all we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy what's going on right now as well, because, like, I know you were part of, like, the protests that were going on in, like, River Park and stuff like that. I saw some posts there, right? And, I mean, I think it's definitely wild what we're living in right now as well, because I have family members that, they, don't have their papers and stuff like that, and they're here. And I remember just recently we went for one of my aunt's birthdays. We went up to Chichansi, and some, like, of my family, like, they just didn't want to go just because they're like, I think they even said that, like, ICE was out there, like, I guess one day. So it's like putting, like, a fear into the community, but it's...
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around, and it makes me really sad. But there's a lot of us who, well, I shouldn't say us because I'm not undocumented, but speaking and doing so many interviews with people who are, they're not just, even though they're afraid, we're strong. Like, it's not this, like, crippling fear. We weren't built like that.
I mean, and you clearly saw that in the protest. I mean, California was standing up for their people, Exactly. So can you elaborate on how the protests happened and how?
Yeah, I didn't start any of the protests or organize them at all. I just happened to be out there to document as just an individual, not for work, just on my own, because I am a naturally curious person to begin with. My dad used to call me, like, Curious George growing up, because he would leave and I had a million questions. Well, where are you going? Who are you going with? What time will you be back? So I'm a reporter. But
with the hairbrush, as you said?
Yes, with the hairbrush, exactly. And so I was just there, and some of my friends were there too, and organizers that I've met in the community, and they're just, you can't really describe it. I hope and I encourage everyone, if you haven't been to a protest, you need to go to one. They're peaceful, they're powerful, and you can see the generations before that have gone to protests, and the ones from the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, all the way back, and that are still here with us, that are looking to pass that baton. They tell me, we're tired. Like, you guys are the ones
they have to carry it.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful honor, and I love our youth and our younger generation, because we are the ones starting these big movements. And so it's just beautiful to see when you're out there, and how so many people can be united for one cause and not be violent and not causing chaos, and just be proud and using our privilege to stand up for those who can't, and to not be afraid. It's very powerful. And whether it's for whatever cause, using your voice in your everyday life, it could be something small, it could be on a massive scale. We can all be better at doing that for everybody, not just for our communities, but just in general and in life.
I feel like our voice is super strong right now, though. Like, across the country, I feel like it may sound weird to say, but being Mexican is, like, in right now, right? Like, our culture, our food, our music, like, everything is just kind of catching fire right now. And I wonder, do you think it's because we've been so loud for so long, or
is it the strength in our culture? Because we're pretty traditional, and we're super proud. If you look at any other country, or you can, I wouldn't like to say compare, but like, we're really proud,
Yeah. I think it's just, we know that the world loves our culture. They love our food, they love our music, they love our parties. Like they love how we do everything. And I think right now it's just we have to show up louder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And whether they, I mean, it's always been into us. And if we're making new familia along the way, like that's cool. Like we're not gonna say, "Oh no, you weren't here." No, it's like, come join us. We love you. If you support us and you're an ally and you're trying to help, like we're here for that. And I'm really proud that it is growing in the way. And like you said, it's like very positive right now. And it's
So,
Yeah.
what's for the people that know, what's the general message with these protests?
just that. I think the main one is we're not going to let you, rip our families apart, and we're going to continue to stand up for each other and not let this just blow over. We're not going to just let this happen. We're not just going to bow down and say, "Oh well, what can we do?" No, it's making our presence and our numbers known that you're going to meet resistance every turn you take, because we're not gonna put up with it.
And was there like something that take that off, like kind of created the domino effect into like there's something happened that caused the protest?
I mean,
I think it was just all the deportations, right?
Yeah.
Happening. How there's like a big influx of like ICE raids and ICE being here. But one of the things that I've loved seeing is that like the local law enforcement here came out and stated, "Hey, we're not part of the federal government. Like we're not with like ICE. Basically, we have nothing to do with that. So if you guys see us, like you don't have to be worried or fear, or if we arrest you or whatever, we're not turning you in." I thought that was super, like I love seeing that, because most people just see cops and it's like, okay, then you see there's like songs about it even,
and I think it's important to look at why that is, because historically policing has been extremely, I don't know what the right word is, but against minority groups, it's been a very different experience than someone who's not Mexican or black or
of color.
Yes, of color.
Yeah.
So it's not, they have to do that work to go out there and be positive in that way, because there is decades and decades and decades of the opposite, them showing the opposite to people of color. So they have to undo that, and by saying, "Hey, we don't stand with them," that's a small step, and those are words. So we need to see the action then. We need to make sure that we hold them to that in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year. It's important to watch what they do and not just what they say.
Yeah, I know you mentioned like growing up, like you weren't always the most loud about everything, and like as you came into your adult life, like that's when you kind of started. Come on in, Mr. David. You should be good. Like I kind of align with that as well, because like I grew up here in Clovis,
right?
And like I hate to admit it, but like I used to like not like our culture, like I wasn't like, I guess you could say like I just wasn't not so proud of it, but like that's just not what I was around at all. Like yes, my family, like we they all grew up, like I grew up at the Mexican parties, but I never loved the music, and like it came to a point where I kind of identified that it's because like where I went to school and everything, like I did not have any friends that spoke Spanish. I didn't have like, we didn't even have folklorico at our school. Like there was no like culture there, and I remember like always like wanting to fit in.
It's
like
funny that you say that too. Well, I came here when I was like 7 or 8. So I wasn't. I came in here when I was in elementary school. They didn't speak any English, so for me, I had the similar experience. It was like it was frowned upon to be a certain way. So
yeah, it kind of like just kind of makes you repressed, and then you just want to fit in, right? Like you just want to fit in, and so we kind of just had to mold to my environment, and I always felt a little bit off. But as soon as like I graduated, and I remember I started at a company where it was only Spanish speakers, so like you couldn't get hired there unless you spoke Spanish. And then like I start getting into the music, and then like I start like getting more into the culture, and I'm like, wow, like this is what like I've been searching for. I just never really found it. So like I love like the culture, I love the music. I'm like pretty in there. Wouldn't say like, you know, say like you're paisa or whatever. But it's crazy. It's funny because my parents at that time, they had left to Mexico. We had a restaurant. We sold it back in 2016. At that time, my mom and dad, they moved to Mexico. I stayed here, and it's funny because they say we came back and they're like, "Where's my son?" You know, they're like, "What happened to him?" You know, but obviously they're proud. What would you say like? Was there anything that kind of held you back from being louder, or what would you say like kind of?
Well, to just speak on that, like for a second, there's our educational system and all of our government systems. It's all built for a very different ethnicity and different culture and all of that stuff. So that's why representation is so important, whether it's in a school, whether it's in books, whether it's in music, art. Because if you don't see the beauty in your own culture, because all you're seeing is this other one that's telling you this is the way it should be, this is how you should be, and they're stripping you of, and you're assimilating. That's what you're doing. You're just becoming what's here, and you're losing touch with your roots because that's what's around you. And it's really sad, you know, and that happens to all of us. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but no, there was nothing that ever made me feel like I couldn't be. I had a really close friend in elementary school who English was her second language, and they told her straight up in a Clovis school, you know, you don't speak Spanish here. You know, this is not Mexico. You can go back there if you want to. And so, you know, my mom found out about that because her parents were from Mexico and didn't speak English. And when I told my mom what they told her, and I'm a little girl, like I'm in second grade, but I was already trying to like, just, you know, just, it made me feel some type of way. And I told my mom, and my mom went to that school and told them, you know, what teacher said that, and that is not okay, and all those things. So I just think when you're growing up, you're trying to figure out who you are already, regardless of trying to like understand your roots, your culture. 100%, so that's just how I was.
I've always loved being Mexican American, like, but my Mexican part, I love it. I'm like, I'm on straight up paisa.
Certified.
Yeah, because I even know like almost every show you can think of from like the 90s, 2000s, because I was just part of really deeply into the Mexican culture. But like growing up, since I was around American people too, then I've always been part of that circle too.
And I think there's a lot of comparing. Like, are you Latino or Latina enough? Oh, you're not if you're this. Oh, you're not if you're that. And I really hate that. So like I think there's even that among us. Like that's why we have that
like
same.
You're not Mexican enough and you're not American enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love both. And like you said, an example of how they did give you guys like a dirty message. And I had a job where a guy did that to me. This white male, he literally told me like one of the nastiest jokes, and he said it playing around, but to me it was like, damn, that's really the type of person that you are. He literally told me, you know why like Mexican people's eyes are brown? It's because they're full of shit. And now it's like dude, like that's not nothing to play around with, you know?
No, yeah.
So like I don't know. I don't support any of that.
No. Yeah. But I feel like things are shifting. I feel like right now it's like a big topic because, you know, the deportations that are happening and the ICE raids and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like we're truly shining right now as far as like our culture and everything. You know, another thing that's really cool that where we met actually was at Raza Golf and what they're doing as well. And then, so I if I'm not wrong, Ashley your Alicia Ashley Alicia Alicia is your cousin?
Yes.
Wow, so she's pretty big in that community as well.
So she born and raised in Los Angeles, and so my aunts and uncles on my mom's side are all from LA, and my dad's side, so that's where our roots are from. And so she, you know, has been there her entire life, and she's an incredible woman. I love you. Shout out to my prima. But she's amazing. She started in news too. She was on the news out there, so she has a huge following still from that, and just being a badass as well.
She speaks very well.
Yeah, she knows sports like no other. She knows her culture like no other. And so she's beauty, she's brain, she's everything. She's got it all too.
Yeah. Are you excited for that event coming up? How did you feel at that event?
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I mean, my cousin has been talking about Rasa Golf for a long time, and it's something that I've been able to see her participate in small glimpses, right, on social media. And just anything that brings our culture and representation is exciting, regardless of if it's golf or whatever.
Is there other events like that you would want to mention or bring to light to people?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like locally here?
Because we would love to be a part of that.
Not off the top of my head, but I can get back to you.
I know,
there's a lot I'm probably gonna think right when I leave. Like,
yeah.
This.
I know even PBR. I know it's not like super Mexican culture, but it is. You know, like a lot of our friends like attending those events. They gotta get a grupo there or jaripeo or something.
You know what though? Like, it is because we do that, right? Like, it's our culture too. This is a very, even though we might go, it's a very different crowd.
Definitely.
Very different crowd. The Border Patrol sponsors it. So there's Border Patrol postings all over this arena. When I went there this morning, I noticed that.
Wow.
So it's a very,
That's so like conflicting.
Well, it's professional bull riding is their, I'm not sure. I can't go into like what they stand for. Who
the politics
started.
behind it.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on that because I don't know. But I did notice that, and
Yeah.
Was that a pretty enjoyable event or no?
Yeah, this morning, I mean, I wasn't at the actual event. I was just interviewing one of the riders who's been a professional and has been the world champion, and so that was really awesome. And he's super talented, and he's been riding bull since he was a kid.
Those guys are a whole different type of man.
They are. Like, I told him this morning, you do what 98% of us will never do. It's crazy. Like, what do you think before you get on and are about to go out there? He's like, honestly, nothing's going through my head. I'm just meditating. I'm breathing. I'm like, I would be having a panic attack.
I'd be like, all right, it's go time.
He's just like, I've done it so many times. It's the most peaceful place. He said it's the most peaceful place for him.
Well, yeah, I feel like, some of those moments, the most chaos, so you're like fully present in the moment. Like, for me, that was like riding motorcycles. That was like very, it's just like
adrenaline.
Yeah, like, when you drive to work, like, sometimes you like get to work, you're like, how did I even get here?
Yeah, because you're just like,
on a motorcycle you're like present, you're not on your phone, you're not doing anything, you're like fully focused, especially if you're going fast. But I mean, that's a whole different thing. But I feel like people, like, in those super stressful moments, like, some people do find peace in that because
it's
all the thoughts go away.
Adrenaline.
Yeah.
In their head.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I was getting high blood pressure, cholesterol.
Oh, yeah. Definitely some heart problems. Yeah. So, to take it back a little bit, so kind of getting more into you, like, so I know you moved away to Modesto, and then you said you came back for school here at Fresno State. What did you study?
Well, I went to Fresno City. Oh. And I got my AA in just communications. And then transferred, and I got my degree in mass communications with an emphasis in broadcast and multimedia journalism. So that was like my major. And then I did a lot while I was there. I did a lot because the way news is set up for like jobs, there's news markets 1 through like 100 and something. So the top 5 being like New York, LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, like bigger huge cities, right? Yeah. And so your goal is to climb from the 100 and something, which is like those stations are like Bakersfield, Chico, Redding, smaller places where there's not that many viewers watching you. So most of the time you start in those smaller markets that are in the hundreds, so you can go make your mistakes in front of less people, right? Because you still have a lot to learn after you graduate. Now it's time to like go get hands-on experience, and then you work your way up that ladder. And so Fresno is in the middle. It's a top 50-ish market. So I was told a million times, like, you won't be able to start here on air. I was told that by my professors. I was told that by people in the industry. And they didn't mean it bad, like in a bad way to hurt me. That was just the reality.
Yeah.
You need more experience to be here. You need at least 2 years or 3 or 4 to be here. And I was just crazy enough to think I could do that. I could start here. And I worked really hard in school. I did a lot. I did a lot of internships. I was president of a club, part of another club. I had no life, but it paid off, and I was
you were all in.
Congratulations.
I was all in.
Yeah.
So you said like Fresno's a mid-tier for viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Fresno compare in viewer-wise compared to something like something from LA?
Oh, it's millions different.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people watching. I think our population here, like, cause we're like Fresno County, so we're all the like rural towns too, around here. So
it stretches all the way past Kalinga to Kalinga.
Yeah. So there's a lot of little towns, and I've even just had to learn about them just from this job. Like, I've never been to a lot of these little surrounding cities until my career, and it's been great discovering those places too, and knowing just how much is here, how big the valley is, and so it's.
What made you want to get into public, or I guess public speaking, or just being on air?
Yeah, I was telling you guys earlier, I was really shy growing up, and I didn't ever think I would be a public speaker or on TV or anything like that. In fact, I share this story all the time, especially when I'm speaking at schools. I was so terrified of public speaking that in high school I would get good grades on all my other assignments. So when it came time to present in front of the class, I would just take an F because I would shake so bad, and I wanted to still pass the class, and the only way to do that was to get A's on everything else, right? So you could miss that project. And that's how scared I was. But in college, in Modesto, because I actually went to Modesto Junior College first.
Oh, okay.
And something clicked there. There's a few things that happened. I started building my relationship with God, and through that, I gained a lot of confidence in knowing that I was fearfully and wonderfully made and perfect in His image. And who is anybody to tell me what I lack or what skills I don't have? You just kind of start not caring so much and realizing, when you talk in front of people, half the time they're more worried about their presentation that they still have to do. They're not really watching you. Like, we all know that feeling. Like, if you haven't God and they're up there, you're just so nervous about your time.
But as soon as you're done, you're like,
exactly. Exactly. And so, I took a speech class at Modesto Junior College that really changed how I felt about it. And I was so excited to go up and do speeches, and I was the best. My teacher would write me like, wow, you have a lot of skill in writing and in presenting. And so from there, I ended up leaving because I moved here, and then went to Fresno City to communications, took a lot more speech classes. And even then, though, I didn't necessarily, it wasn't until the end where I knew, okay, journalism. And I picked it because I wanted to use my voice in a way that highlighted other people. And my mom's a social worker, so helping people is just like in my DNA. And I didn't want to be a social worker though. So you're like, well, how else can I help the world? And I thought, oh, storytelling. I can go and help shine a light on our communities and tell their stories. Especially the communities that aren't represented as much, any minority group.
So how does that look like? What's the day-to-day of being a reporter?
Yeah, so I wake up at like 2 a.m. and
2 a.m.?
Yeah, 2 a.m.
What time do you go to sleep?
I try to go to bed around 5 or 6.
Oh man, so we're cutting into your bedtime right now.
Not on Fridays. On Fridays I break it because I don't work weekends. But yeah, to Friday nights are hard for me because I've been up all day. So whenever I want to do something Friday night, like tonight, I'm going to be exhausted by 8 o'clock. I'm just going to be ready to knock out. But yeah, so my day starts at 2, and then I go into work at 4. I go to the station. I find out. Sometimes I already know what I'm going to be doing because I scheduled it. But sometimes it's whatever the producers want me on in the studio if I don't have a live shot set up. And I go out, do the live shots from 5 to 7. Come back to the station, take a break maybe, and then either start writing a package on what I did in the morning, or I go out and shoot a package, or I just have like a desk day where I'm able to just schedule, make calls, set stuff up for the rest of the week because that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And what is your you're around the team, right? That does like obviously the video recording and all that good stuff.
So I shoot most of my own packages on my phone.
On your phone?
Mm-hmm.
You just set up like a tripod or something?
Yeah. Sometimes I just.
What about like the editing and all that?
So yes, we have
man.
we have editors that are incredible, and I'm super blessed and honored to work with them, and they edit my packs. There's some that I ask more than others. Shout out to Iris. She loves editing my packages, and so I sit there and with her, and I'm like, I think we need to put this shot here. She's really good. I give her a lot of free reins, but there are certain things because I shot it that I know like. I have this idea, let's put this here. And I love shooting my own because at first I was like nervous about it, but you get more control. I get to spend more time at the shoot. When I'm with the photographer, they have to still shoot other stuff for the rest of the station and other reporters. So we're just trying to get in and get out. And with me by myself, I get to like really know the story more, know who I'm interviewing, and which helps me tell the story better. And that means a lot, and so.
Yeah, that's wild. You set your markers like, all right, put the tripod here, and then you just.
I just look for, I know what we're trained, like when you guys are trained, I don't know, some people go to school for like cinematography and videography, and even photographers. But like what we do for news media, it's like a little bit different. The standards still apply, like, but there's a certain way to shoot it. That unless you've been trained in news, you might not know you need to frame it this way for TV versus something that might look way more beautiful, but we need this certain shot. We need their head right here. We need certain things. And even though there's a lot more we could do with the shot, it's got to be set up certain ways. So yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of creativity.
It's like those like the grids or whatever where
right.
you want everything to line up and things like that. Yeah. This guy's all on that stuff.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I know exactly what you mean. Especially the angles that you said, like where you frame people.
Where you want the head to be in the shot
right.
and everything,
and
to kind of feel it.
Probably the settings to make it look a certain way for TV.
Mm-hmm.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, like shooting in like 1080p versus like 4K, because we only use that on our broadcast.
Only 1080?
Yeah,
okay.
So we don't have 4K cameras. And like my phone's better than all the cameras we have because we haven't updated. It takes money, so just our phones are magical now. Like they're amazing.
Yeah.
Our chief photographer uses his phone for most of the shoots he goes on.
That's wild.
And we use DJI mics.
Yeah.
As videographer.
You got one right there.
Yeah.
And an editor. So like I tell people, the right person with the phone can do really, really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when people sometimes see me get something with my iPhone, they're like, "You're supposed to be using the camera." I'm like, "Man, go talk to somebody else."
Yeah. I mean, and there's still so much I don't know how to do on my phone, but I have a good idea. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, like that app you told me about, that it allows you to like control the aperture and like basically all the settings on your camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called Blackmagic.
Oh. Okay.
Basically, it turns the iPhone camera into something that is fully manual. That way, whatever you want to do with it, it'll do.
I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the name, but superstitious. So, what was the process like getting hired, like with CBS 47?
Yes, and KC24.
And
so we're
KC24.
owned by Nexstar, so it's one company, but. My story is very unique. Whenever I have to speak now to college students at Fresno State, I always feel bad because they're like, "Oh, so did you apply here? What did you put? Blah blah." And because I had, like I said, I'd done so much in as a student, I had done an NPR internship in Sacramento. I did the ABC 30 internship for 6 months, and literally you just shadow the reporters and get hands-on experience. You're reporting, look lives, shooting, stuff like that. So it was great. And then I wrote for the New York Times. I was published, so that was huge. There's a lot of amazing stuff that usually happens in someone's career much later that I did as a student, and I'm very proud of that. And so by the time, before I was even ready to graduate, they had reached out to me, and I knew I had a job.
Wow.
So they were just waiting. And I had a lot of, well, I don't say a lot, but I had like 4 or 5 other stations in smaller markets, Bakersfield and other places that were interested too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, get to stay where I live and have a home, get paid much better than what I would in these smaller markets, and get to be one of the first to go from college straight on air in my hometown. And I was like,
it's a no-brainer.
And I asked a lot of people for advice, because you hear a lot from, and like I said, I don't think they meant it in a bad way, but just saying, oh, you should probably start in a smaller market and things like that. But then one day, someone who, I love her so much, her name's Brittany, she told me, but they were never asked, they never had the opportunity to start in a bigger market. Had they, I don't think they would have chose the smaller one.
Yeah, they probably just wanted you to be prepared, huh?
Yeah, well, I just feel like they meant well, and they didn't want me to fail. Well, what if you start here and it's so much and you mess up in front of all these people, and because you have a home here and a life here, what if one day you want to come and now you can't because you just flop so bad, right? I think that's more of, not that they all saw the potential. They knew I was a great journalist, but they just want you to go iron out those small kinks and those nerves. And trust me, I had nerves. And so in my early live shots and stuff like that, you can definitely see the growth from then till now. But I wasn't bad. It was when I did my first one, one of the anchors at ABC 30 told me, you did an incredible job. Wow. Where was that as an intern? I said, honestly, I had to turn it on. It was
turn it up.
Yeah, it was okay, this is your job now, and now everyone's watching you, and it's your hometown, and they said you shouldn't start here, but now you are, and so here you better knock it out.
What has been one of your favorite moments so far in your career?
I think for me, the last year and a half, I've really gone hard in finding Latino and Latina stories. And I've spent a lot of time shooting those stories, as I mentioned, on my own and off the clock. And people don't know that. Whenever you see a story that does really well with viewership and things like that, it's usually something I had to take time on my Saturday or my Sunday and sacrifice family time, personal time. But I know those stories are important to tell. And so grinding like that for a year and a half can really take a toll on you. And you just wonder, does my community see me? Am I doing enough? Am I making them proud? And just hearing all the feedback that I get about just how I'm representing. Someone told me we have a lot of Latina reporters nowadays, but none of them are repping like you do. And just hearing that makes me so freaking proud. I love that they see that and they want more. It keeps me going. It motivates me. And it's, that for me is a really important moment. And it's something I love about what I do. And our stories just, like I said, representation, it all goes back to that. So whether I'm, because I've been told you're doing too many Latino and Latina stories, and it might ruin your career. And I take that as, no, it hasn't. They tell me to turn it down, I'm going to turn it up, and that's what I've done. And since I've done that, more opportunities have come my way. It's they, you have to be claimed by who you rep, right? If you're going around but you're not in your community, the community's going to snitch on you. They're going to call you out, right? You're not going to be able to ride that very long because they're going to sniff it out, right? And so with me, it's like, no, like they see you, you know, they trust you, and that means a lot to me.
Is there a particular story that you've made that has been very impactful in your life?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of them. I think anytime I get to speak with someone who's first gen, who became either like a doctor or an author or is an artist, and just seeing what they've had to go through and how they're doing this amazing work now, how they've used their story to advance their life, and they don't ever forget it. It's in their work. You know, one I did a story on, she's an amazing author and she wrote a children's book, and the book is about growing up working in the fields, and she's a children's teacher. She teaches TK, transitional kindergarten. And so just seeing how she is growing up in the fields to write a book for kids about growing up in the fields, you know, like, see, we're in all these different careers, all these different avenues, but there's so many beautiful stories. There's another one I did on a baker, and he's like super viral on social media, and grew up in a trailer park. Parents from Mexico, baked in his trailer. They got enough money to get a house, started baking in his house. Now has such a successful business, self-taught.
Wow.
And he just bought land in Mexico and is building his vacation home. You know,
That's
it's
a
like
dream.
incredible. And he's so young. But you know, it's like our people are doing big things, and just highlighting those big things brings me so much joy.
And you also gotta keep in mind that most of Fresno is like what, over 50% Latino based.
At
Yeah,
least.
I think it's like 54.
It's 53%.
Oh yeah.
53.6%.
I was trying to keep it discreet.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I brought it up because you said that that if you keep doing Latino based stuff, people are, like, you're gonna get canceled or whatever. Well, it's the opposite because we're 50% of Fresno County.
So that's what people want to see in that representation. Do people ever reach out to you for like mentorship and like guidance, or?
Yes.
I gotta imagine people are kind of like reaching out to you quite a bit.
That's something I love too. And if anyone's watching and you need that mentorship, please reach out to me. I love being able to help young people. I know when I was young, I had some great mentors. Ever since I was 19 and got involved with church, I was a mentor to young girls in high school. So I've been able to do that through many different times of my life, and it brings me so much love. I would pick up the girls in a van every Wednesday for youth group, go to the high schools, pick them up, take them back to my house at night, and have like 8 girls sleeping over in my parents' house just because they wanted to hang out, and you know, being that role model for them and that example. So that showed me right then and there like how much people, women especially, gravitate towards me and young girls, and we need to be those examples. So yeah, people reach out to me. I love going to a lot of college students now reach out to me and just want to talk and grab coffee and things like that. And anytime someone reaches out, I do my best to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
what's some of the like main advice that you give them, whether they're like aspiring to be, you know, in the news world or reporting, journaling?
Well, one thing I tell them is to know the realities. It's not this glamorous, beautiful, you get your hair and makeup done, someone writes all your stuff, you know.
Do they?
No.
You don't have an on-set makeup person?
No. Yeah,
You're like, makeup?
I wish. I do get my makeup done though all the time. We have amazing makeup artists here at Central Valley that I go to. But yeah, our work doesn't, you know, provide that stuff. And so even though there are very glamorous things about it, you know, I get to speak and wear heels and a dress most days. But there's a lot of hard work. And I think if you look at me and you see my work that I've done, and maybe you're a Latina and you say, I want to be a Latina reporter like her, just know it takes a lot of work and a lot of tears. I've cried at my desk. I've been frustrated. I have to fight and advocate to be seen. I have to fight and advocate to be heard, to be valued, to say, hey, this is a good story. Oh, I don't know. You know, it's a good story. You know, oh, it turns out it was a great story, you know, but like you have to work really hard, and that's with anything. Just telling them the realities is, someone recently had said something about, oh, Viviana always looks like she's having a great time. Like, she had said that because she works behind the scenes in the control room. So every morning she's watching me out live. She told someone else. And it stuck out to me because I thought, she's Latina and she's in college and she's going to graduate. She wants to do this, and I need to talk to her and I need to let her know my life isn't perfect. And I told her that. I said, she's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like, you seem so happy. And I said, no, I am. But I also need you to know that this type of work, you're in for the long haul. Being proud, you're still in an institution that is predominantly white, that is still run by white men, white management. And here you are, a little brown girl. What do you know? Mm-hmm. And why aren't you just thankful you're here? And why aren't you just falling in line? And why don't you just blend in? What we talk about.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I won't. And that comes with every day some sort of little. You
gotta love it. I think that's what it boils down to. Is
yes.
Like
it's a little thrill for like the fight to be able to continue to put on for again, and it goes back to the same circle of culture and community, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're putting on.
Yeah.
And your work is the evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of jobs are very demanding and they're very tough.
Absolutely.
But if you love it, it's very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that you're not dead tired at the end of the day, you're burnt out, you've experienced all those things, but that passion is what fuels you to keep going in those hard times.
Right. And I think you really just do gotta tune into who you are, know your values, know what you're willing to cross and what you're not, set your boundaries, and go into it, and don't lose sight of that. Mm-hmm. Because you shouldn't go into news or into TV reporting if you just want to be on TV. That's like crazy. I thought I was going to go into print, to be honest, or even radio. This was just the avenue that offered the job first. Yes. And I did study it, a lot, and of course I liked it too. But yeah, you have to know. I don't ever want anyone to think my life has been easy or perfect, and that's why with everything I do, I don't do it as much anymore because I feel like I did it so much in the beginning, like talking about having cancer, talking about being in an abusive relationship for a very long time, talking about having an abortion, talking about losing my dad to cancer. All of these things were very traumatic. I lost friends to violence, that passed away and really taught me grief early on. So there's a lot that I have gone through, and this all happened before I was 29. So I lived a whole decade in what most people don't experience until they're like in their 40s or 50s with illness and losing parents and abuse.
And friends and all that. And
friends, yeah. So I've been through a lot, and I will use my platform to continue to remind people that you go through things and you just got to keep going.
So how do you take care of you, like as far as like mental health and the stress and all that? Like,
yeah, like how did you deal with all those situations at the time? Like, did anyone bring you down, or like you said, how did you deal?
Yeah, the most recent was losing my dad. And he had cancer my whole life since basically he was diagnosed when I was 13. And we were told then he would pass in 5 months. And we went to get a second opinion in the Bay Area, and they're like, well, no, we think we can give him a 50-50 chance if we do this huge operation. And of course we took that option, right? So he didn't end up passing, and I had him a lot more years, thankfully.
Wow. Praise God.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening was during COVID, I noticed my dad was in a lot of pain, and I wasn't sure where he was. They were still in Modesto. I was here, now for Fresno City. And so I didn't get to see them that often. And then COVID happened, and I was so scared that because I was still young and out and about, I didn't even want to go see them, because what if I had COVID and I went over there, because, they were saying, like, the elderly and the immune compromised were at a higher risk. So I was just trying to, like, stay away, keep them safe. But in 2021, they told him, like, you don't have much longer. And at that time, I was getting ready to graduate from Fresno City. And so what ended up happening is my dad was on hospice in front of me. We were taking care of him while I was taking my finals for Fresno City. And it was the worst situation to be in. I wanted him to be able to go see me walk the stage at Fresno City, but I knew there was just no way. And so just going through that, and then he passed, and then 3 months later to have to start Fresno State. Oh, I was a mess. I could talk a whole episode just on grief, just on the emotions you go through until you lose a parent. I've lost grandparents, I've lost friends, I've lost cousins, aunts and uncles, but there is nothing that prepares you for losing a parent, especially when you're close. And so it was a lot for me. It was hard. I was angry. I wouldn't say I dealt with it in any certain way. I just kind of let myself live it. I think if you try to stop grief or let people tell you how to grieve, that's like all wrong. You just got to grieve whatever way you got to get through. One of my best friends growing up, she had lost her mom when I got diagnosed with cancer. And she reached out to me, because we don't talk as much now, but I told her, it's just day by day. And she had said, sometimes, Viv, it's just going to be hour by hour. And that really stuck to me, because I was like, you know what? Yeah, if I can just make it through this 60 minutes, okay. So I take things I've dealt with things in very different ways. All those things I mentioned, the abusive relationship, that was a mess. That was a disaster. That's a whole other episode too. Talking to women about getting out of that and just those things. But one thing I know is that God has always had his hand on me. So even though I may have not had the relationship yet, he had a plan. And that's the force behind getting through it. That and amazing parents who love me so much and have always been there for me, and regardless of the choices I made, and through cancer, like, they're the only ones who are truly there by your side no matter what. And you really puts perspectives on a lot of things. So
yeah. So you were diagnosed with cancer as well?
Yeah, when I think I was like 19 or 20. I don't remember.
Wow. What kind?
Thyroid. So I have the scar right here. It's like a thick red scar. Yeah, that's what that is.
Didn't your sister have thyroid cancer?
Yeah. Or some sort of cancer in the throat. In fact, that's the only reason that we moved over here to the States, because she was originally born in Merced, and they couldn't operate on her in Guadalajara, which is where we were from. So we came back once. So they got them fixed supposedly. So we went back, and she got them again. So we just decided to come here and just stay. But she went through many surgeries just to try to get it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they did, right?
Yeah, she does have some sort of like speech problem, but like it's nothing, like it's not where it sounds raspy, but other than that, like, she's fine.
Wow.
I was just talking about that because I was speaking at a middle school today in Madera, and I always throw up my surgery pictures, talk about it. And I was like, yeah, my doctor told me your voice might change, or you could lose it. It's because right where your thyroid is your like vocal cords. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking, yeah, like, this cannot happen. My life's calling is to speak. I know that. So. And
you have a very great voice. Like, when I heard your voice, I was like, that is very new.
I feel like I'm in the news right now.
Yeah, so it was scary. Thankfully, thank God I didn't lose my voice.
Well, very, very beautiful and inspiring.
Yeah, congratulations. So are you cancer free, or do you do regular?
Yeah, so I'm monitored every 6 months. I do still have a spot that they watch, and it's come back throughout the years. Like, I've had multiple surgeries. Wow. And I've had radiation treatment and things like that. So just staying on top of it by them, monitoring me like that, we catch it early. I have the surgery and I'm okay. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm fine right now. I mean, every day I know I have cancer, but you just you live like you don't, you
Yeah,
know.
well,
'cause-
that's
My mother, I don't know if it's right or not, but she had said when we were younger that she was one of the first kids in California to have survived the thing that she went through.
oh wow.
Yeah, Valley Children's.
Mm.
yeah. Well, that's like you have such a powerful message, and it like makes a huge difference on your inspiration to people because, I mean, people go through so many struggles, and like if they see someone who has made it to where they want to and overcome all the obstacles, it makes them believe that they can do it as well,
Yeah.
especially when you tell them.
Yeah, that's why, like I said, it's very important to me that my story is shared in its full length, of all of those crazy times and those heartbreaking times, because I think we look at people and we think, wow, their life is so this or so that. And, I'm very blessed. I am very blessed. My life is full, and I get to do a lot of amazing things that a lot of people don't get to do. So I never take that for granted. And I am genuinely so full of joy. And my name actually means full of life. And that's how I feel like God literally picked that name for me. My dad picked it, but I know God put it in his heart. And I love my smile, and I keep my smile. God has helped me. Instead of all that stuff that I went through, it could easily have jaded me. I could easily have been changed into this like dark, cynical person and become this victim mindset of, oh, this happened, so I never got to do that, and because of this, oh well. But no, like, it's just,
Well, yeah, you leaned into your faith. I feel like that's
Mhm.
the thing. It's like, I had watched what's his name? I don't know why I'm blanking on his Tony Robbins, and he says, we have 4 like needs in life, wherever you live. It doesn't matter whether you're here, whether you're somewhere in a third world country or wherever, right? Everybody, even if you're living in a jungle, right? I mean, everybody has like some needs. The first 2 he said were, we need certainty, right? He said the messed up thing where God has a sense of humor is that we also need uncertainty
Yeah,
as well, right?
for our faith.
Yeah, for our faith. So people say that we need to get our certainty from somewhere, whether it be I have faith in myself because I always pull through, whether it be religious reasons. I have faith because God is always taking a look after me, and it's all in His plan. And I feel like that's how I live, at least to fulfill my certainty. And it seems like it has been that way for you as well.
Here's some uncertainty in my trivial comment that I'm about to say. But in psychology or some of the way that your brain works is that it forgets things when, especially like when, or just a quick example, when you're watching a movie, it'll forget facts or kind of like objective reality in order to be able to live out that reality and experience like joy. Because like any movie, you kind of know where it's gonna go, right? But your brain does that automatically for you, so you could experience life.
And there's a lot of science that's there's a beautiful book, I can't remember what it's called, but it's by this doctor, and she connects science and the Bible, and I love that because it's
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, so there, I don't know if that's who it is.
It's not, but it's.
I was like, I don't know, but she, like, one thing she said to me was like, the Bible says, talks a lot about renewing your mind, and how that was written so many, neons ago, but that how science has now proved your cells actually do rebuild, like they renew, like he's saying, like you get a fresh start in certain things all the time with your brain.
Jordan Peterson is the one that made the one that brought me to God, because I was always in denial.
Oh, okay.
But he had a biblical series where he's a hardcore psychologist, so he's very like science oriented, but he's also very religious.
Yeah.
And he was able to bridge those gaps. And every time, the first times that I listened to him, I was like, man, this guy's right. It's like in my head, I was so right.
Right. Yeah.
But I wasn't really wrong.
Man, I know we're coming up close, so I have a few more questions.
Yeah.
So, what was it like the first time seeing yourself on TV, and how did you celebrate?
I don't remember. I think I went home after my first live shot and I rewatched it and I was just like, I think that's something I need to get better at is celebrating. I think I don't realize the moments until much, much later. And I've been really trying to get better at the small, big things that happen in my day-to-day life that I should be very proud of. And so I don't know if I celebrated. I don't think I did.
They didn't pop the champagne.
No, no, I didn't.
It just happens when you're on the run, you know. Like sometimes, like so many things have to get done that it just becomes another thing, you know. And then,
Right. But yeah, I have been working on being more intentional. Like whether it's, you know, booking my first like public speaking gig, or whether it's, you know, doing something I was absolutely terrified to do because I still get scared of a lot of things, and every time I do it now, I'll be like, let's go have dinner. Cheers. You know, we did that. You know, I did that. So because it's important. That gives you that affirmation, that reinforcement of like, you can do this. You're going to do this again. And next time you're going to do it even better, and see, you thought you couldn't do it, but you did it and you were great. And now you're going to just keep growing.
I've always been a massive advocate of having a really good work and life balance, because you shouldn't overwork most of your life to not be able to enjoy it, you know. So I've always been big on both things. But I have what am I thinking of? A very cool, interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I almost forgot.
Yeah. So the podcast, it's on its way. Don't know when. It's soon. It's very soon. That is my way to continue storytelling. I don't know what the future holds for me in terms of a career. I love reporting. I love journalism. I will always be a journalist, regardless if I'm doing it for TV, for myself, for a different outlet, whatever that looks like. But I want a space that's mine. And I know I can have a lot of deeper conversations on my podcast. I can do a lot of different creative things that I want to do, and just I'm excited. There's no specific topic. It's called La Mera Mera, just to honor the beautiful people in our community. I'm not calling myself that. I'm calling my guests that, and I will be giving them their flowers and letting them know that I'm thankful for the work they're doing, whether big or small. You know, it's not just gonna be, you know, certain figures in the community. No, like, you guys can be on it, you know, for whatever you do. And
we would
love to.
No, we would actually talking about it, and we would love to be definitely part of it.
Or if you need any help with it, or we've been.
You.
I mean, it's funny because when we're setting up, I'm like, man, like your guys, you know, you step into your guys' studio at the station and stuff like that, and we're like,
you made me clean.
Yeah, we're like, man, yeah, we're still putting things together,
but you started.
Yeah,
that's what matters. You know? I've tried to start things in the past, but it was like before I was even through college and things like that, so I didn't know anything about lighting and cameras and mics, and the standard that I tried to do it at was very much like just thrown up there, you know, one camera, my friend, of a background that was all moving because we did it straight, you know, like all those things. And so this time around, I just knew there's a certain level that I wanted it to start at, and I can't accept anything less. It's like this level of excellence that I just put on myself to do it at. So yeah, I've been, you know, working on getting cue cards and mic flags and remodeling my whole living room and customizing certain things, and bought a bunch of stuff in Mexico to decorate and, you know, just make it feel like how I want it to feel. And so I'm really excited about that. And
you should be, and anything that we could help, just, you know, we're always a text away, and we can give you some like quick tips, something simple as not every camera is a video recorder. So I don't know if you know that, but like, a lot of people don't know, like, if you buy cameras that record, some of them don't go past half an hour.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We learned that.
First lesson,
Yeah.
check.
I'm super blessed because I do have a lot of friends that are great with cameras, and so they've helped me so much. One of them is Marco. One of them I already mentioned. Her name's Iris. There's, just even the designing, like my logos and stuff. I hired a graphic designer who's still a student at Fresno State. Her name's Yahaira, and it was important to hire a Latina that understood the assignment and what I needed. She killed it with my colors, my fonts, my brand identity, just how I wanted it to feel. So everything has been literally so specific, and it's taken time, but I'm really proud of it. It's my little baby.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I love the name too, La Mera Mera. That's a good name.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we absolutely wish the best for you.
Yeah. I want to see you keep crushing it. You got anything? No.
Not really.
No,
I
we'll
think
close
we
it
covered
out.
that.
I know we don't want to keep you too long, but
maybe the other half could be at your podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing. You have an amazing story, and it's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank
Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Make sure you guys give her a follow as well. Vivianayvonneytv on Instagram. Yeah, I'm sure you guys will be seeing her here soon, but thanks again. We'll see you guys next time.
Till next time.